I just bought a new cell phone. I got the iPhone 14, which is quite the upgrade from my iPhone 7. The battery is definitely better. I do miss the button it had though. This one uses facial recognition to open it, which is kind of scary. Getting my new phone made me think of how much things have changed over the years with phones. Yeah, I go way back. This is what I grew up with. Museum pieces now. That's my mom talking on the phone. This is probably the late 50s or maybe early 60s when I was a kid. Kids today grow up with cell phones, so they never had the pleasure of experiencing what I did. You didn't see people back then walking around with their face buried in a phone. Later, though, wireless phones came out for your home, so you can walk around with no cord attached. They were really popular. They even added answer machines to them, which was big because now you can get rid of the one that was a dinosaur. Look at that thing. There were two problems, though. The battery didn't last long, and you better remember where you left it. And it's not like you put these things in your back pocket and leave the house. We were always looking for the phone. You heard a lot of, "Hey, who had the phone last?" And then the cell phone came out. You could have your own now instead of 6 people sharing one phone. I remember seeing my first one back in the late 80s. The technology had been around a while, but nobody had one. It didn't look anything like what you see today. It was portable, yes, but you had to carry around all the parts to get it to work. I remember riding in a car with this guy who had one. He sold broadcast equipment. Once we reached a certain spot, he stopped the car, got out, opened his trunk, and pulled out this contraption with a phone attached. Then he plugged it into the cigarette lighter. Do they still make those for cars? Cigarette lighters? I don't think so. Anyway, I didn't know it at the time, but he was in a cell tower service area, and I guess he needed to make a phone call. I think he was trying to impress us, which he did when he told us it cost thousands of dollars. This was around 30 years ago, so wow, things have changed fast. My first cell phone was this little flip-top thing. It was a cool phone. I still have a couple of them in storage. I liked them, probably because they look like a Star Trek communicator. Even Iron Man likes them. Captain America gave him this one. Now, the very first phone invented way back when is credited to an Italian named Antonio Meucci. This was in 1849. Yeah, before the Civil War. There was also a French guy, Charles Boussole, who came up with one in 1854, but it was Alexander Graham Bell who got the first U.S. patent on one in 1876. So lots of people think he invented it first, but it was the Italian guy almost 30 years earlier. Bell's rival at the time was Thomas Edison, who came up with a carbon microphone, which made it stronger. But Bell won out, it seems, when it came to making money on the phone business. I grew up with Ma Bell. That's AT&T for you youngsters out there who buy their cell service. Lily is the new Ma Bell now. But Edison did okay with the light bulb and electricity and a bunch of other things, so don't feel sorry for him. He also one-upped Bell on the phone greeting. Edison urged people to say hello when they answered the phone. Bell wanted people to say ahoy. Yeah, ahoy there. I'm glad Edison won out on that one. Now, the very first cell phone wouldn't have been possible without a cellular network, which came along in the 70s. It was developed by Bell Labs. Bell dominated the phone system, which is why they broke the company up. You think your cell phone bills are high now. Back then it was outrageous, and they were always on strike for some reason. Anyway, by the end of the 70s, the Bell Labs Advanced Mobile Phone Systems, or the AMPS, was up and running in some places. This was the first cellular network. The problem was who was going to use it. There weren't any cell phones. So, a guy named Martin Cooper, who worked for Motorola, developed the first handheld wireless phone that could connect over Bell's AMPS. And in 1984, Motorola started selling the Dynatac, also known as the Brick. It cost $4,000. That's over $10,000 in today's prices. You couldn't put it in your back pocket either, since it weighed over 2 pounds. But rich people bought it, and off we went. It wasn't until the mid-late 90s when people started buying and using cell phones. They were called cell phones back then because there was no such thing as a smartphone. I guess we still call them cell phones, but smartphones go way beyond what the old cell phones did. Instead of just making calls and maybe taking a picture or sending a text, today's phones shoot high-def video, access the internet, send and receive emails, download apps, stream TV and movies, play games, pay bills, give directions, talk to you, etc., etc. I have all kinds of apps on mine, even a drawing app named DaVinci. I always wanted to learn how to draw. I'm still pretty bad at it. But in spite of these smartphones, some people have kept their landlines. When I ask a couple of my friends why they still have one, they say, "Oh, just in case." Just in case of what? In case you miss a sales call? Or you can't find your cell phone? I got rid of my landline almost 20 years ago. I'm serious. I wasn't about to pay 2 phone bills. Think about how much money you would have saved if you got rid of that landline in 2005 like I did. It probably would have paid for your new barn. I guess I'll be tearing that down someday. You know, as much as I don't miss the old phones and landlines, I do appreciate growing up around them. Life was simpler back then, and we weren't tied to our phone like we are now. A lot of people alive today only know smartphones. They have never experienced the joy of being tied to a cord coming out of a wall. There was nothing else like it. That's all I got.